Hello everybody and welcome to the latest diary in the life of Mr. Ink. Yes, Mr. Ink is receiving some much needed treatment after we have completed virtually all the jobs in the engine bay that we need to do at this point just to get the car going and to give good reliability. I can't wait. Now that fuel filter, yes, well that fuel filter, I've joined Nick in the corner of shame by buying fuel filters that don't fit. And yet the compatibility on that Borg and Beck fuel filter, apparently it fits all petrol models. Doesn't. And I've gone back to the seller to confirm that. It's appalling, absolutely appalling that these things happen. But what I've done, I've ordered a genuine fuel filter. I managed to find one on eBay for £13 and I should have done that straight away. And it is quite possible that the fuel filter I took off was the original. It looked like the original. It's got the old FOMOCO writing on it and it just looks quite old school. If it isn't the original, it's at least 10 years old, so there'll be lots of benefits from that fuel filter, believe you me. So a bit of a boo-boo there, but it's off the car, and I've got the old filter because I might need to use this car in 2 days. It depends if that fuel filter comes. Anyway, next question. Arches, front arches. So we're going in systems. So we've done engine bay for now. Arches. What do you need to know about the arches in a Mark 1? Easy. They're pretty robust. Very rarely do they corrode to massive holes on the inside of the inner arch. This is quite typical in terms of the bodywork. The wing, I am utterly gobsmacked. By this age, these wings have normally rotted out down here, in this gully down here. To get the arch liners off, you need a T25 and a 7mm to take that little tiny bolt out that's here, okay? Just that fits down that square, okay? It just goes through that little piece there, okay? Make sure you clean your arch liners. They're full of mud on the back side, not just the front side, please. Don't let that mud sit, and especially all that rubbish there, sitting in areas like this that are waiting to cause corrosion, okay? Now, in terms of the condition, it's quite rusty. It's quite original. Nothing has been changed. I can assure you all this is original, which is remarkable given the condition of this car. It's going to have a full brake overhaul. These are the original discs. They've got a bit of lip to them. They're not too bad. There's about 4mm of pad. Not too bad, but calipers, hoses, brake pipe looks okay, but I'll probably end up changing it for copper, just as a precaution really. So I will probably change all that in one go. Brake line, hose, caliper, sliders, discs, pads, you name it, etc. That will be done. Steering knuckles, terrible. Honestly, the steering knuckles are all really bad. They can go like a Greg's sausage roll. They just flake. This is flaking even more stuff. It's just horrible, nasty rust. This rust killer that I've bought, this Granville heavy duty rust converter, this will kill it. It will turn it black straight away. And by the way, I recommend this product. I've used a few down the years and I've gone back to this now because I used to use this quite a few years ago. It's about £12 a bottle, this. You get a lot, and it's enough for the work that I need it for. It's probably enough for about half a Mark 1 given the amount of rust they produce, and probably a whole bottle for the whole car, to be honest. So there's a lot of wire brushing going down. I'm going to get the heat induction tool in preparation for the future, just to basically heat up that pinch bolt, because I know that in the future this whole strut is going to be replaced. It's all the original. Spring's a bit rusty, strut's a bit rusty, but it's actually quite intact and it still works. There's no cracks on the track rod end there. There's no the joints good. CV boots, fantastic. These drive shaft CV boots, I've never known them to crack. They are just utterly amazing the way they are made. They are absolutely brilliant. They just rust on the metal, particularly around the flange area here. They flake quite nastily, but overall they're pretty robust, and the joints are pretty robust as long as you don't abuse the car. You can get good ones from J&R. That's a good place for drive shafts, and they do the automatic drive shafts, which is what I'm looking to do with 50 Shades. So I'm using 50 Shades as like a test bed, because as you might have noticed, we've got a new hub nut. And it's like that on the other side. Why? There's only a couple of reasons why you take that hub nut off for. Obviously to release the drive shaft, but what for? Well, you release a drive shaft and release the bottom arm if you were trying to get the strut and whack it off this to give you a bit of manoeuvrability, to get these two off, so release the strut assembly. That's what you'd normally do. The other reason is to change the drive shaft, which this might be a second-hand one, but I doubt it, because both sides have been done. I reckon that these, judging by the metal behind there, I can see some clean metal. I think it's had some bearings. I think this car's had its front wheel bearings changed. I mean, they sound fantastic. I've just done the wheel bearing test where I put the wheel on and you shake it at 12 and 6 o'clock. Nothing. They sound absolutely fine to me. I've got a feeling they've been changed. I will be doing on 50 Shades that I will be ordering brand new steering knuckles. By the way, these things are about £100 aftermarket. Not cheap. Front wheel bearing and a new flange. It will all be assembled together for 50 Shades, and they will not be cheap. Per corner, I'm probably looking at about 150 a corner. So it will be about a 300 quid job if I can do it myself, and I probably mostly can. I just need the right press, which I do have at the moment. So this car might soldier on for a bit, but if it's had the front wheel bearing done, that's a massive bonus. Massive. So I'll just rust convert it, I'll kill it off, and I'll do what I can do. The main hint of corrosion on the actual body, not the wing, just make sure this is clean, by the way, hose it down, is around here. There's a tin shield around here where the servo is. It's a bit different to this. This is the proper thick car body metal. The paint is still very intact. I will shoot some Dynax into these holes here, just to inject some cavity wax. But literally, this is the only bit of corrosion. There's a little bit, tiny bit up there where the aircon pipes are, but that's it. That's the only bit of rust. They can go really bad in those areas, but this is very marginal. I have known them to go wholly on this plate, but not to always. It's just not. It's non-structural. Really, honestly, I'll just cut it out and make do without it. It can go around the seam here, but again, it's just the spot welds getting a bit funny. But overall, it just is fine. There's no problems at all. This aircon dryer looks amazing. Sometimes they rust out really, really badly. And a top tip, a lot of these dryers do need replacing now, unfortunately, at this age, because a dryer has got what you call a desiccant bag, right? You got your silica gel bags that you get when you buy something. It's just to keep the moisture around, to absorb moisture. It's like the damp traps I've got in my garage, and it's got a damp trap at the bottom to capture any moisture in the aircon system. And what you might find is when these get to a certain age where it can't absorb any more moisture because the desiccant has absorbed as much as what it can, which is why it's important to keep moisture down to a minimum in the aircon system, i.e. making sure the aircon is always gassed up and not empty of gas, because that's where moisture builds up, kills the aircon, it kills the compressor, it's deadly, it corrodes the pipes, and that's why you got a dryer, okay? But at this age, the problem is getting a brand new one is going to cost an arm and a leg. Yeah, but hopefully if your Mark 1's got no problems in the aircon department, no issues. The bottom arms are the originals, both of them are. They've got the Ford stamp on them. They will be the next thing to be changed as well. I'll get them out. But the ball joint's absolutely fine at the bottom. Absolutely no problems. Just give it a bit of a clean around here. I will say that. Just put your fingers in this lip. They can corrode around here. It's just where it rubs against the bumper, and it can cause some corrosion around here. Just make sure this is clean. I have known them to rot around here, but very rarely. But this is in remarkable condition. It's as simple as that. Now, if we go around to the other side, or before we go around to the other side, there's a part that I've thrown over here, and it is this inherently nasty sound deafening. And they sit, well, this goes on this side. They sit like this in the car, okay? They sit like that, okay? The bottom bit just sits in a bit more like that, but they sit in, and they're supposed to reduce sound going into the cabin. They probably do, which is why they're fitted, but they're rubbish. Throw them in the bin. They hold a lot of moisture at the bottom, and it rots your wings out. Do the same with the other side. By the way, I'm missing the one on the other side for some reason. Someone's removed that one, so it's only the driver's side I've got that. And I think the passenger side is pretty much the same. There was a little bit of a story regarding the horn. Oh, excuse me, I'm in the middle of cleaning up. Again, it's the same story on this side. The spring is a bit corroded, but it's okay. It's not too bad. Again, slight corrosion in the corner where the nasty shield is. It's horrible. You've got your electrics there, your washer bottle. But yeah, no sound deafening. It's already been removed. Who's done that, I wonder? Well, thank you to that person who did that for whatever reason. Yeah, new hub nut again. It's all original, absolutely all original, so it just needs cleaning. By the way, the CV boots, I just touched on it, they are not rubber. The original boots are made from a sort of plaster-sized material, and they don't crack. I've never known a CV boot to need changing on a Mark 1 so far, at least not to my knowledge. And it's just remarkable how quality they are. I'd recommend if you're not replacing a drive shaft and you're just changing an outer joint that's knocking, don't use the boot that comes with the joint. Use the original boot, because I'm not being funny, it'll outlive the new one that's probably made of rubber, and very rubbish rubber. But there's hardly any corrosion. You've got your earth bolts here that always snap because they just corrode on this side, and I think I'm not going to touch them on this car because they keep on snapping. There's only two on this car particularly. We've got some new horns. Now there's a story about these horns. Now about a week before I did the timing belt job, when Jason owned this car, he had a message from one of his neighbours saying his horn was going off continuously. Honestly. So the horns went off, but I think before somebody was going to call the fire brigade, because I thought there was some smoke and a risk of a fire. It turns out I think there might have been some smoke because the horns burnt themselves out. And Jason fitted these second-hand horns and it works perfectly fine. Unbelievable. So yeah, watch your horns, guys. That's quite unnerving, that is. It's obviously got the two horn setup. The only cars to get two twin horns after around 2003, I think, were Gears and possibly ST170s and RSs, possibly. But if you had any other model, Zetec LX CL, you only got one horn at this stage. Now my 2002 Zetec has twin horns, but they skimped to single horns later on to cheapen out. They did the same with the engine fans. Even later aircon models only have one fan, whereas before it was pre-2003-ish, it was one fan for non-aircon, two for aircon. This has got two fans because it's a gear, you know, and only the top models seem to have retained that infrastructure and the twin horns. Everybody else went to single horns to cheapen out. Yeah, exactly the same though. Brake pipe looks fine to me. Doesn't look corroded at all. No advisories on that one. It looks really good. There's no gearbox leaks. At the back there never is, because they're really good. It's really good. There's a plug that's not used for some reason. Not sure about what that is, but as you can see, we've got a lot of the original paint markings. It's just ridiculous. So it's going to be rust proofed. I'm going to go over with Dynax to kill the arches. Well, to kill the arches, to kill any rust that's there. Using a combination of two, maybe a bit of paint, but no undersealing. I'm not going to cover this in underseal. It's got most of its original paint under here. I'd rather retain that. There is some feeling of logic. I have removed the anti-roll, but the drop links, by the way, the ARB links. They were a bit of a pain. They were in great. I tell you what, there's nothing wrong with them. They weren't going to knock. They were the genuine Ford ones from the factory, no doubt. Looking at how rusty the rods were, but the ball joints were fine. Absolutely fine. Took a long time to get them off though with a bit of heat. I will be covering that job on 50 Shades, strangely enough, so I didn't film that. But anyway, I'm going to leave you be. I've got lots to do, lots of wire brushing, and I've left this torch. I know where my battery's going. So anyway, I'll leave this here, and just something you need to know on the front arches, and I'll cut back to when I've finished the job so you can see what it looks like. And you join me 2 days later. 2 days of grafting, hard work, and a mess everywhere. Yes, it's Dynax day, and when it's Dynax day, I have to prepare as well as I possibly can for this stuff. This stuff is amazing. It's the UC, the clear, okay, not the black stuff, because I think it's lovely underneath as it is. We use the clear stuff like I did on Beatrix and on Project Ruby. This stuff does require a lot of prep work in order to work. In fact, the idea of this, it's got anti-corrosive properties in it, but the idea is it suffocates the rust, stops oxygen getting to the metal, and therefore iron oxide, rust, does not occur, ideally. And I've now used it on a few cars, and I swear by this product. It has done wonders, keeping everything nice. And this car was always going to get this treatment. So we start off with a few things. Firstly, a few fixes and a few things I've noticed that are broken. The one thing on this car that is completely unique to the 2-litre automatics, that on the basis of my videos, everybody seems to be putting these on now. It's the 2-litre air deflector. Yes, except this one is absolutely broken. It's snapped. Brilliant. So the only thing that's actually unique about this car that everybody seems to be using is broken on the car that it's intended for. Brilliant. So I'm going to have to get another one and try to have to peel this lovely sticker off. I don't really want to have to ruin that. Oh, pain in the ass. But I've done a load of cleaning, especially on the power steering here. That was an absolute mess. The heat shield is decidedly a bit crusty on this side, but it's okay. These two bolts look like they're going to snap. Yep, definitely. That'll be done when the cat obviously needs replacement in the future, but it won't be removed unless that's happening. I have glued this carpet material back using a bit of contact adhesive spray that I used for seats, #Ruby. Yeah, that's all gone back in rather nicely, actually. The stone deflector, oh, by the way, look at this lovely grille. Yes, I have painted this up, and it is completely the wrong colour match. Now, actually, it's not too bad a colour match. This is just a generic can of Ford ink blue, but the complaint that Jason had when he ordered some touch-up paint is it was much darker than the paintwork, and this is a little bit darker as well, so maybe this is just an off shade of ink blue. I mean, over the years it seems to have gone the same colour. I've got to be honest, if you look at this, all right, look at that and look at that, it's exactly the same. But when you look at the exterior of the car, it's more of a blue. Maybe it needs to be cut and polished, but maybe also oxidisation from the sun. It has changed the colour. That's why you can never trust paint codes. But to that is a spot on match. But that to that, you can clearly see the difference, but it looks amazing. Doesn't matter. It's a really, really nice grille, and it was actually obtained by somebody in the hierarchy of the Mark 1 group. I've also replaced those stupid things with these. Oh, I might have to screw that in. Oh, that's fine. That seems to have gone in nicely. No, it hasn't. I'll have to screw that in more. I've replaced those horrible screw things with these cappings. I've got to screw that in further. And I've done the same to the rear because they look nasty. They look really nasty. Apart from that stone deflector, we've managed to bring it out a little bit. There was a little bit of heat damage because I used the blowtorch instead of the heat gun, and it has done a good job, although it has sort of distorted the surface a little bit. But it's never looked brilliant, but I've brought it out a bit more and it looks okay. I have to say though, these fog lamps have got to go. The originals always go like that, so they go a bit milky, so I'll change them for some aftermarket ones. They're fantastic. I think 50 Shades has had those fog lamps fitted for almost 10 years now, and I fitted them because of this milky reason. Yeah, quite milky. Anyway, apart from a bit of cleaning, I have also been going around. This is an invaluable tool. This is a tool to unbung your washer jets. I recommend you get one of these. I just go around with that, and I actually stuck that into the drain holes at the back of the sill. Now, most of you do not have those holes because you've had metalwork done to your Mark 1, okay? So Well, to be honest, if you've had metalwork done like my car, it's got no drain holes anymore. You could drill one in, it doesn't really matter. I've used those drain holes, the original ones on this car, to inject this for a straw. It's really good. But anyway, arches. Yes, we can see we've been busy in here. Yep. As you can see, I have been busy with a little bit of paint work because I've used the rust killing, the rust converter, and the idea of rust converter is you have to paint it over the top, otherwise putting rust converter on is pointless. So I have sort of painted the strut up a little bit of stoke, little bit of gloss black that I had left over. I've cleaned all around the drive shafts, the CV boots. We have a new Lemforder drop link, yeah, as promised. It is the newer type, the aluminium type. There are two types. Lemforder only makes this type now for Mark 1s. They used to make two types. This one, the aluminium one, and then the one I've got fitted to 50 Shades, which is also Lemforder, but it's the old school rod. It's the exact same design, a steel rod, that would have been fitted originally to Mark 1s, the ones I've just chucked away. I'm lucky that that's on 50 Shades, because this, as I say, isn't entirely original being the aluminium one, but I think they're quite interchangeable. I think only ST170s really use these from the get-go, but I could be wrong about that. There have always been two types of Mark 1s. I've always gone for the steel ones, but it doesn't matter. It's all been painted up nicely, all the wiring's good. And we've gone over a bit of ink blue in here as well. Excuse me about the light, but there's absolutely nothing to see now. It's cleaned up so well. Even the brake pipe looks great. I mean, all this caliper stuff is all going to come off anyway. I tell you what, I need to get some genuine nuts, because these chrome ones, I fitted some of these years ago and they just pit. They go really nasty. They're cheap things. I want to get some proper Mark 1 nuts. I've had a bit of a paint down here. I have put some Dynax just down here. I've actually injected some straight down this way. And you see this bung here? You inject that straight into the sill. It's the same result really for the other side of the car. There really wasn't anything to tell. I was really impressed by how it came up. And obviously this will start rusting again and flaking like a Greggs sausage roll, but it doesn't matter. They're all like that. In fact, I thought I took a bit off then. See, it's already deteriorating. I've left the bottom arm, because the bottom arm I've identified is the one thing I'm going to change. Ideally, long term, springs and shocks, but that'll be expensive. These work for the moment, but I think the most imminent thing, changing this was quite easy. Remember, it's a functional vehicle, it's not 50 Shades. I'm not going to the extreme, but I'm doing what I should be doing diligently to own this car long term. Injection of cavity wax here and down there. I can smell it in the air. Paint everywhere. It's been cleaned up nicely. Someone has taken this washer bottle out 100%, because obviously the sound deafening was missing, and I'm starting to realise some of this piping is actually in the wrong place for the washer pipes. So it's not in a bad position, but I can tell it's been taken out before. So someone has unbolted this wing. But this is I'm not being funny, it matches the car. I am absolutely bang on sure that I've bought the first car in my, well actually the second, because Ruby is exactly the same, completely all original body panels. So maybe the pump failed, I don't know. It is an awkward place to get at. You can't get at it from here really. But yeah, same result on this side, but the bottom arms are going to be done. I'm going to buy some ones that I've just acquired for 50 Shades, and I'm very impressed with them. Everything else is fine. Track rod's fine, no problems. There's no play with anything. I have also cleaned underneath here. I've just been slowly degreasing the whole thing, including that blasted steering rack, which you can see the steering rack. Hello. Yeah, so it looks really nice and dry and degreased. That's what I want. Not showroom by any means. The other thing I've been doing is going through all the locks. There was a GT85 down there. and I have been sticking it in every single lock. What I do is you just stick the GT85 in, then stick the key in and do that. Do it with the driver's lock, the tailgate. Oh, actually, I haven't done this. Ooh, well, it's quite loose, actually. I didn't know this, actually. On the cap, Ford recommends BP. No, I've never seen that before. Oh, I need to clean in there. That's disgusting, that is. Oh, dearie me. Yeah, oh, I've never seen this before. We didn't get these stickers on the earlier cars. Oh, there's your tyre pressures. Oh, I'm going to leave that open because I need to remind myself to clean it. Oh, okay. The other one is the bonnet lock. Obviously, it's a new lock, but we still need to make sure it works. Obviously, driver's door. And if you have, I think a pre-2003 car, you will have the lock on the passenger door as well. I believe it was a changeover with the change of chip in the immobiliser key. There's all sorts of changes around 2003 that I'm starting to notice. Yes, oh yes, I need to show you all of this. So, we've sprayed Dynax. Oh, even the doors, you know, there's the tiniest amount of corrosion on this door, but there's nothing bubbling on the other side. So I will be looking to put Dynax in at the bottom of these doors at some point in the future. The idea is, I mean, I've used most of this cam, and I've pretty much sprayed everything to that point there. All this is going to require yet another cam because of the stupid sized boot being an estate. There's going to be a lot of work. Basically, all the work and cleaning I've done stops at that point. All this needs sorting out, de-rusting. I need to repair the tin shields, assess a lot of things. The filler pipe looks pretty decent, but then it looks a bit suspicious round a corner. There's things like that I need to look at. So that's going to be a whole load of episodes, guys. But everything from this episode is concerning all of this. Brake pipes look absolutely fine down the side of the car. Nothing wrong. I've looked inside the clips. They're not suspiciously lurking any rot that they do when they go through the clips. You won't be able to see it, believe you me, you have to take the clips off. And I've just done that. So all good. So all the locks are done. I will briefly show you underneath. So I have gone over this sill and just put a little bit of more paint on just a few areas, but literally I can't believe my luck with this car. It's just unbelievable. The subframe is amazing, absolutely amazing. Nothing needed there. I've put a bit of cavity wax into them holes. Obviously don't forget to do behind the sill. People forget to do that. They just look at that bit, the pinch weld, but you've got to do it on the other side as well. But I've sprayed the exhaust up in VHT because I had some left over. Why not? And I have kind of stopped with the back box down there. Excuse me, that's my fuel pipe hose awaiting a fuel filter yet again. So if I come round to the back side, again we've taken more of this up, but I'll just show you. Just barely needed anything. I've bent this part of the pinch weld back, sprayed it up. You wouldn't know I've done anything. But yeah, this hole here, if you can see, right where my finger is, I've injected cavity wax through there. Look at that silencer. It might be the original. Most of it's the original system, apart from the flexi. The flexi's definitely been changed. I've cleaned all around there, and apart from that fixing just here, that's one fixing. I know how to sort that out. But yeah, we've got a lovely back box there, all sprayed in VHT, and I've gone over a lot. But as I say, I have stopped. I have not done anything beyond this point because flipping heck, even the rear discs look a bit funny. There's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done here. A lot of work. But anyway, then you inject the sills from this side. we've done the floor pan, we've done the arches. You don't really need to do anywhere else on a Mark 1, I've got to be honest, because they don't really have a tendency to rot. What I have done, I've actually sprayed some Dynax just here where my hands are, just on this ledge. Spray some here because this is where they tend to rot. Spray some on the lip, it's a very small lip, and down there, okay? Then I have been going over the locks and cleaning the latches with GT85. It's all come up extremely nicely. I recommend you do that. You're gonna have to get this trim away. Don't disconnect it, it's just linked to this trim. It just comes out with 2 clips. Same for the driver's side. And then you've got this trim that's just literally links with all these holes here and just inject straight in. And I'll tell you what, I've discovered a lot of spiders enjoyed that home. That's a fantastic sign, that is. It really is, when spiders are actually inside there and not damp and wet and rot and rust and flakes. I've sprayed all in there, and we have had some come out. I can't see now. There should have been some come out there, but it's actually stopped coming out. But there will be a lot coming in. Usually I use Dynatrol 3125, I think it is, which is a cavity wax. I actually don't use that stuff no more. I've used it on 50 Shades, but I'm just using Dynax in this area because it's just as effective. And then you keep going to the back here again. You can't pull it out completely because it's linked to here, but it doesn't matter because you've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. And then what you do, I'll bring you around to this side because it's easier to show you. Yes, no rusty screws to look at. Much nicer. I had it in stock. What you do is you squirt straight in there. I think I've got some left actually. Oh yeah, lovely, fantastic. And then we just find the hole, which might be a bit tricky because I've lost my bearings. There we go. Oh, I can't find the hole because it's covered in Dynax. There we go. There we go. So just put it straight in. Plenty in the rear end. Just come to the other side. There we go. We're just getting to the end of the can now, but that's going straight in. I'm just going to try and use as much of it as possible, but there you go. We're on a really good path. It's just the rear end of the car that, oh goodness me. And unfortunately I'm looking at that rear suspension thinking it would just be easier to drop the frame, but hopefully I'll show you how to do things in situ rather than doing what most people tend to do, and that is drop the frame. Not because it's more glamorous. See, look at that. You will find the cavity wax will kind of stay there. What you need to do is make sure that cavity wax is not blocking them holes. Be very careful, because if there's any water that gets into that sill, right, which is very unlikely, because what the water's going to have to do is bypass all this, and it's quite difficult. But usually that's how the rot starts. The rot usually starts actually when this comes apart. This piece here is 2 pieces of metal. It's this sill and it's the inner arch. When they separate, water gets in and floods the end of the sill. And that's why they always rot out at the end, and they always rot out from the inside, not the outside. So really, what I've actually spraying Dynax over this bit is just precautionary, just to keep this looking nice. It doesn't actually cause the corrosion, believe you me. This door, fractions of corrosion around the lip and the seam, where they've actually joined the skin onto the inner door. But there's actually, there's just a bit of touch up there, but that's it. I seem to have a good habit of buying cars with good doors. Even Ruby's got good doors. Anyway, it's raining fern trees all over the place. I hate that tree. This car will not be staying in this spot. When it's not being used, it will be going on the road because it's hashtag safer. I'm going to leave this here, but that, I've got a little bit left. I'll try and stuff some more in when I get a chance. I've got to clean that up in a second. But yeah, I think we've literally covered most things. I have looked at the heated windscreen relay, which, by the way, guys, I'll just point out, is this one here. I've taken it out, put it back in, and that code again has come up. Windscreen, heated windscreen relay, short to ground, yet the heated screen works. So I have no idea what that is. I can also conclude about this battery to finish off. I keep moaning about Lion batteries, and there's good reason for that. It's rubbish. I have put my Halford's smart charger on charge, but I've basically charged it up. Took about 2 hours because it's a very good charger, and it has 9 stages, including desulfation. That's really important with batteries, particularly batteries that are seldomly used. In fact, we've got a date stamp here. Oh, I can't even. They never mark the date stamp on these things. No, but it's a 620 cc's 096 battery. It fills the whole battery tray. Only the diesels and I believe the 2 litres. I think the 1.8s might have a small battery. I don't know, but in terms of engine size, Zetec engines probably will have this. Diesels definitely. 096 batteries are not cheap, and I can understand why they've gone for this purely on the cost basis, but I've literally given this a boost, and I've put my battery tester back on, and both my Halford's charger is a battery tester itself. It's a really good tool, but I've got a separate one, and both of them are confirming and telling me that this battery is not very healthy. At full charge, 100% charge, it's only going to produce 400 cc's out of 620. That's absolutely terrible, and I cannot trust this battery. So I've got a feeling that this is very soon going to be junked, because I need this car to work, and there's no point in me doing crank position sensor, power steering switch, all the stuff that will leave me stranded when that could leave me stranded. I don't trust it. So and also a note, I've got the brake switch coming, but I don't think it's the brake switch. I think there's something funny going on with this battery, and I've seen this before where batteries start going or start misbehaving and causing all sorts of electrical maladies. So I'm going to look at this battery with suspicion, and I need a better one in charge. So I'm going to leave that there, and well, I shall see you in another episode. I will clear up the wheels, and the arch liners will go back on the front. I am looking for some genuine wheel nuts, so I'll try and source them as possible. And the next few episodes will be updates and little videos coming up. Pollen filter desperately needs changing. That's got to be done. And there'll be a couple of other jobs coming up, but the main one is to look at the back end of the car, and we'll again these axle stands will be moved to the back, and then we'll deal with the back as we dealt with the front over the course of maybe a couple of days, maybe in a couple of weekends, because this car has to work during the week, has to earn its keep. But anyway, you look after yourselves. Take care.